So welcome again, everybody. And some of you are project managers, and some of you have seen project managers. And I bet you're familiar with the concept of projects both failing and getting the blame for that. And what I want, let's see, there we go. What I want to emphasize is that the project manager is the role responsible for making projects succeed, regardless of whether other folks have any kind of influence on that, regardless of whether the project manager has the things that they need to make success, and regardless of whether failure is inevitable, no matter how well or poorly the project is managed. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. That last point, the failure point, but it occurs much more often than people might realize. And so discuss how that happens, and want to look at the role of business analysis and the role of project management, how they are related, how they are different, and can work together to unite and help overcome some of these obstacles that get in the way of project success and help everybody, project managers, users, the business, and so forth, everybody increase their chances of success. So I suggest that, though a lot of people don't like to hear this, the fact is that many, if not most, projects are destined to fail. And that if you look back, that you can probably identify with projects whose budget or schedule were simply inadequate to do the needed work. Okay? And on to that the definition of the work that's needed changes, but the budget and schedule don't change for that additional work. Okay? And the project indeed fails because it cannot help but failing. It's when that the project manager gets blamed for it, usually for not adequately managing the project. And of course, the real culprits of this situation do it again and again. Why? Because they're not visible. They're not aware. Other people are not relating the results to them. The story that the project manager is the bad guy is what. Now, the interesting thing to me, and maybe your perceptions are different, and I hope so, but I find that when I present this perspective to project managers, often don't want to hear it, and I'm not sure why. Because I would think that it would be something that they'd want to be more conscious of, because it's a situation that they're stuck in, and until they understand and deal appropriately with the situation, they're not going to be able to get out of it. So the typical development life cycle. Okay, and we probably have iterative and incremental. It's easy for me to say, analysis, design, development, that's the nature of iterative development. And then periodically there are implementations of various builds. There's probably user acceptance testing, and then whatever's been implemented goes into an operations and maintenance mode. And during especially during the development process, there may be reviews of the requirements, design, the code, the tests, and so forth. Now, that's a development life cycle view. Also, a corresponding project management life cycle. And so the major activity of project management is directing and controlling the execution of the project work, primarily the analysis, design, and development, which includes building and testing. We're familiar with project management. There are also closing activities, at which point it's common to have some kind of a post-implementation review oriented toward process improvement. It's somewhat questionable whether that really works that well. In my experience, post-implementation review results could generally be produced on a photocopier because they're the same from project to project to project. Be that as it may, else that needs to be taken into account, and that's the upfront, creating the planning and the organizing activities. They have a bonding part of the development process, which is referred to as feasibility analysis or preliminary analysis or something like that. Okay. And many organizations don't have a conscious analysis. They don't have a conscious activity that helps ascertain what the product is, what the schedule is, what the budget is. But we know that this phase occurs because the output of it is the definition of the project in terms of what's to be produced, how long you've got, what kind of resources you have. Now, if you are part of a development and project management process, product, the related schedule and budget are based essentially on no information or inadequate information, then be surprised if that project becomes destined to fail. Okay. And it is that many projects are initiated without necessary information. Okay. Now, necessary information input to the feasibility analysis or planning and organizing that determines what the product is to be produced and in turn what it will take to produce it in terms of budget and schedule and resources. The input for that are top-level business requirements. And when we don't have them, it's inevitable that definition is going to be destined to fail. People on the detailed requirements, which are developed or elaborated during the analysis or requirements activities, the detailed requirements if level business requirements are not first identified. So that requirements definition occurs in two major places. It occurs as part of the initiation or feasibility analysis, and that's where we're identifying top-level requirements. Feasibility analysis compares two or more major approaches, including no change, and it answers major questions. Can something be done? And what are the estimated costs, benefits, and return on investment of doing it? And the benefits are determined